What's going on, you guys? The world of fitness related YouTube videos is flooded with calisthenic and bodyweight training videos, and for good reason. I mean, you can build a great body doing it. It's fun and effective, doesn't cost a whole lot, and you can do this essentially anywhere. And then a total gym, which also utilizes body weight. I've often heard people kind of compare the two, or they ask questions about what's superior, one versus the other. So I thought I'd make a video talking about some of the specific pros and cons of each. They might kind of open your eyes, or maybe at least kind of invite you to kind of try one versus the other, or maybe incorporate both into your home fitness program. And since I used to dabble in progressive calisthenics back in the day, I thought I might have some insight into the matter. So as you guys can see here in the backdrop of this video, I dusted off some old moves. Some felt pretty good, some not so good. But regardless, it helped kind of rekindle some thoughts I had on bodyweight training in general. So I'll get into kind of comparing these two modalities, but certainly if you guys like this video, please consider liking and or subscribing. Definitely comment down below, share your thoughts on either bodyweight training or total gym training, or if you kind of incorporate both of them and kind of why you like one versus the other. Now, one big variable that influences a lot of people's fitness decisions is just the cost of entry. And with bodyweight training, obviously, it costs nothing. That's one of the great things about it. It's relatively simple. You can kind of do it essentially anywhere, but basically you don't really need any equipment. Now, that may or may not be kind of true, because certainly if you want to add more variety, or maybe you got to find some things or buy some equipment that allows you to kind of degress an exercise or just make it harder, you may have to pick up a couple little things, and you might need things like a pull-up bar, maybe some parallettes. But if you go outside, obviously the fitness is essentially free otherwise. And then when you compare it to a total gym or a sliding bench trainer, which can cost anywhere from like in the low end of like $300 upwards to like $1,500 or beyond, that seems like a pretty big dramatic entry level of like deciding to even pick up or choose like a total gym over your own body weight. But when you kind of consider that with that initial investment that you're putting in, you have a lot more doors that kind of open up to you as far as the sheer number of exercises and ways to kind of tailor it to fit your needs. Now, when you start comparing effectiveness of just the overall workouts, obviously bodyweight training is awesome. No one's going to say you can't get results from doing it. One big lesson I got from just going back to doing a workout with these things is that, I just forgot how engaging it really was, how much all my muscles are being utilized. I mean, you can kind of see in the pictures that like my body, all my muscles were kind of had to work together, we're flexing together to make even something as simple as like a push-up or a pull-up, or even these various planks that I was starting to do as well. And this also leads to a really balanced and functional body, which is I think what a lot of people are seeking. It also takes a lot of the guesswork out of your resistance training, where you essentially can go downstairs and just maybe take a simplistic approach to doing some push-ups, some pull-ups, maybe some planking, some squatting, and then certainly kind of progressing in all those movement patterns. With a total gym, I'm constantly telling you guys how effective it definitely can be in building your body. The sky's the limit as far as all the different ways you can stress various body parts, from multi-joint to single joint exercises, and it can apply to essentially all walks of life, from really young people, from like kids, all the way up to the elderly, and again, to kind of find different unique ways to kind of suit your own needs. I would definitely say that if you chose one versus the other, they both are exceptionally effective, depending on what your specific goal would be. When in regards to limitations, I think you find more obvious things that might pop out to you that you might find more relevant than somebody else. So first, with calisthenics, one thing would be just like it can be kind of cumbersome to set up into some of these positions. It's not as forgiving, or doesn't have as many options. Let's say if you have joint problems or range of motion problems, to find creative ways to work around a specific exercise or muscle group. If you're really into like bodybuilding, doing more volume, or targeting specific muscles with more angles and exercises, that's a big kind of negative, I think, with traditional calisthenics. When I used to do it back in the day, I would do traditional calisthenics, but I would definitely incorporate a lot of bodybuilding and kind of higher volume work. And you certainly can do that. In fact, I've heard a lot of people who are big into calisthenic training, who kind of built their bodies. A big thing I've heard them say is they just do a lot more volume. And so that's great if you're younger and you can handle that and your joints feel good. But for someone who is older, doesn't have as many options as far as exercise they can get into, this can kind of be a limiting factor. And this kind of relates back to just range of motion in general. Again, you can use things like parallettes and you can get into unique positions, but sometimes your range of motion in working, let's say like your shoulder or your deltoids to a full range of motion, can be a little more difficult in like say a handstand push-up versus using free weights or the cables in a total gym. And so all the great things that a bodyweight training does provide, the total gym kind of lacks in some ways, in the sense that while the total gym is very versatile, it can also be limiting in a sense where you're always kind of relying and literally leaning on this incline plane, which is good for some people, but can at times maybe seem boring, or it can seem kind of like limiting and kind of static, that you can't like get off the machine, freely kind of move your body in the sense of standing up, jumping down, again, kind of freely moving it around. So it just doesn't, it can maybe seem not as engaging. In fact, as I was kind of doing these kind of harder progressive calisthenic moves and then jumping in the total gym, I could just feel like definitely your stabilizer muscles and your core muscles are still working on the total gym, no question. But I definitely just didn't feel like as my body was as engaged, and I kind of forgot what it was like to kind of do a lot more standing, freestanding exercises versus always kind of sitting and relying on kind of leaning on a fixed incline. Now this leads me to something that I just kind of realized kind of fully and that I should really take advantage of, is just how great these two modalities really complement each other. In some ways, they're like a brother and a sister because they're all essentially under that family tree of just bodyweight training. But they do have distinctive different qualities and different benefits, pros and cons of one allowing a lot more isolation type exercises, more freedom of exercises in the total gym, and again, a lot more range of kind of like progressing and degressing exercise to suit your needs. But they kind of lack that total body integration, that kind of freedom to kind of do what you can with your body and what your limitations are, and to kind of push your body in kind of new realms. So making this video, even like kind of the previous video I made, I'm starting to kind of really come to more of a realization that as much as I love these total gym machines, and I think easily could be a standalone machine and a piece of equipment, no question, I want to encourage people not to just rely on these machines. Definitely, at the very least, I don't think you necessarily need external weight, but adding in some body weight training off the machine, I think will do a lot of good for you and supplement all those weak points that the total gym might be lacking in. So in wrapping this up, I think both are very effective means to train and build a great body. But as far as deciding on one versus the other, or which one you should skew more towards, it really does depend on your goals. Do you want more of like a bodybuilding type physique? Do you want to be able to kind of do more isolation type exercises versus kind of a more slim down kind of functional build that you certainly can build muscle on, but also your ability, what things are you capable of doing? Do your joints feel okay? Do you have pretty good range of motion? Do you need to kind of have more options for yourself based on your ability? And just certainly, like I said, just your age in general. So all these factors combined might actually skew one towards being a better option for you versus another. But the big takeaway that at least I got from doing this was it kind of rekindled that passion for getting back into some of the bodyweight training stuff that I did used to have a lot of fun doing. And that's always the big variable I always tell all of you guys with. I know some people disagree with this idea, but things have got to be fun. If something's not fun and it feels like a grind and you just don't enjoy it, or worse yet, you're forcing yourself into something that really isn't working for your body, then definitely for sure adjust it. I think the number one thing, well, it is the number one thing that's constantly proven for diet and fitness and exercise, is if you're going to adhere to it. So I'm not telling you to do bodyweight exercises if you guys just don't enjoy it. If you like free weights, do that. But certainly find some that you enjoy. But my point is, both these things I find really fun. I forgot how fun bodyweight training was. So in the future videos, you'll probably see me talking and doing a little bit more of this. But that's pretty much it. I could say a lot more, but I want to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on if there's one versus another that you guys like. And if you guys do want to see more bodyweight conditioning type videos, certainly let me know. I'll be happy to do that. Otherwise, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.